School of Economics, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all on today's guest lecture on the topic Mission Developed India by 2047, Multiple Challenges, Required Strategies and Feasibilities. We are truly honored to have with us Sri MANOHAR Manoj, senior journalist, author, and media head of Indian Economic Association. Mr. Manoj brings with him over 3 decades of experience in the field of media, public policy, and economic affairs. He currently serves as an editor and publisher of Economy India, a nationally recognized magazine dedicated to economic issues. A Government of India accredited journalist, he had reported extensively across ministries and worked with leading newspapers such as Bhaskar and Sahara. As an author, he has written several thought-provoking works, including A Crusade Against Corruption on the Neutral Path and Dialogue on System Change. An initiative to build a new India, his writings focus on corruption, good governance, and systematic reforms which continue to inspire constructive dialogue across India. Beyond print media, he is also an active columnist, blogger, and YouTuber, using platforms like Rajrath and Satya, Asatya, Ardhasatya to spread awareness on social and economic issues. We are indeed privileged to have him there with us today to share his insights on India's journey to becoming a developed nation by 2047. Now, I would like to request Mr. Manohar Manoj to kindly come forward and address the gathering. So, we are eagerly looking forward to hearing your thoughts and insights. Please welcome him with a round of applause.
Thank you very much for inviting me here in this, the great Nalanda University, revived and restructured in new form. And can I move my PPT slide from here? Okay. Yeah, इसमें पेन ड्राइव डाल के ओके ठीक 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 डाउन ना ओके तो thank you very much again. First of all, I would like to express Namaste, the new Nalanda University. First of all, it is great pride to be here in this historical, monumental university, which used to be acclaimed as one of the premier university of the ancient India, got dilapidated by some political aggressors in the pre-medieval age, and now it is resurrected and restructured in the same fervor with the help of Government of India and also state government. I am also delighted to express that this university has introduced the subject of economics also. I would like to say economics is the mother of all social science subject. It is an interrelated subject. As I would like to say, economics is economics is a science, economics is an art, and economics is a humanity also. Talking about the subject, nothing can be a better subject like this. Mission Developed India by 2047. Dear students, this Mission Developed India 2047 has become a buzzword in the academia, among the academic circle, and most of the institutions pertaining to economics department, they are organizing symposium, workshop, seminar on this very topic. And I would like to say I have been also associated with some initiative of some institutions on this topic. As I mentioned in my PPT, Mission Developed India by 2047, which is coming on the front of political forum also, on the forum of Government of India also. We are talking this not only in the academic circle, but also in the public platform, in the several institutions and several organizations. We are talking about this topic. So I would like to say, dear students, that this is not a slogan. Rather, it's a transformation of the whole system. I can say that this is a task, this is the most hardest task in the post-independence period of the country. Because we have to galvanize so many things on the front of policy, on the front of legislation, on the front of constitution, on the front of implementation, on the front of execution, on the front of attitude, the social etiquette. So many things we have to just transform. And talking about this gigantic task of the country, which would be, as I have mentioned in my PPT slide, the complete transformation of all the system, setup and structures of country with consistent and cumulative effort, planning, resolve, regular monitoring with finding out all strengths and weaknesses of the country. This is a task which compels us to identify all our strengths as well as our weaknesses. And also, we have to evolve the newer area of growth, newer area of development, because time to time, the old economy gets died and new economy gets emerged and replaced them. And we are evident of that fact. In last 20, 30 years, I have seen how the IT sector emerged, how the new economic sector like the new social media, new media, since I am related to media, so I can tell you how the new media replaces the old media, the conventional media. In the same way, in the energy sector, we are watching several avenues have been explored and they have taken the place of the conventional source of energy. Friends, as I have told you, I have associated with this initiative in the academic terms. I brought out my Economy India special issue with the collaboration of one college located in Kurukshetra, Haryana. And that is a 200-page online issue of this Economy India magazine. I also contributed my article. You will find I can share the soft copy of that special issue to Kishore Saab. And you can access to that issue. I would like to mention that this was the Economy India special issue, and under my my editorship, this magazine came out, and more than 100 articles have been inserted in this magazine. And my second work is one of the. My second work was the one contribution of my article in the book written on this Mission Developed India by 2047. So you can, I can share the copy of that article also, around 12 or 13-page article, that is miles to go before we become a developed economy. First, when we talk about this, because we have a paucity of time only within 1 hour, I have to sum up all the things, and I would like to invite your questions also, the pertinent questions also. So I would like to first tell about the present status of Indian economy. So we all can know how the future roadmap of economy can be established, can be structured in our Indian economy. So I would like to say the present status of Indian economy, you can watch on the screen. India has among the all global economic power, India has the highest rate of growth. You can see on the screen, India has 6.3% growth in year 2026, it will have. And in year 2025, it has a 6.2% growth, followed by China, which used to be a largest growing economy before 2020. Before the COVID, before the arrival of COVID, it was the fastest growing nation of the world, and India was lagging second. But now India has surpassed China and it has become the highest growing economy in the world, followed by USA 1.8 and 1.7%, and then the world growth rate is 2.8 and 3.0%. Talking about the present status of Indian economy, you can see the GDP at current price in year 2024, India have a $3.6 trillion economy. Though India has surpassed $4 trillion in the recent data, what recent data says, and for the some time it has surpassed Japan also. And then you can say the projected growth rate, what has been mentioned on the slide, the year 2025, it will have a $3.9 trillion, then 4.3, 4.7, 5.2, 5.7, and 6.3. It means that by year 2030, 2030, we will have a more than $6 trillion economy. And the invested scale has been also shown. It will be slight on a decreasing note, but still it is showing a handy scale of investment. Talking about the present status of Indian economy, you can say the fastest growing economy, and here also India is 6.2%, and followed by China. China, it is a 4%, and so on. You can watch the different nations' growth rate and like that. So these are the point of optimism on which we can say that we can achieve the developed nation tag by year 2047, though not the number one economy in the world, but definitely number two or number three economy, we have possibility. And another slide tells us that here also the percentage growth rate is given. 6.5% belong to India, 4.6% China, Saudi Arabia is at third, 3.3%, and Nigeria, USA, Spain, España, and Canada, Russia, and so on. Present status of Indian economy, the fourth largest economy in the world. First is the United States with more than $30 trillion, and followed by China with $19 trillion, and then comes Germany. It has $4.7 trillion, and then comes India, it's a $4.1 trillion. You can watch the other countries also on the scale of growth rate. Talking about present status of economy, we have this linear direction shows that the projected growth rate between 2024 to 2047 would be like that. It means we will pass, even right now we are in 7.5% bracket, then we will move on to 7.6, and then lastly we will move on to 8% bracket of growth rate. So knowing the present status and thereafter making projection about the future, we require consistent 7 to 8% growth. And India is doing that, and our all optimism is based on that. The present growth rate, the simple method of growth rate, investment and scale of investment, the growth, and its distribution among all three sectors, primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. So, as I have mentioned, despite that, we cannot claim that it would become first or second largest economy of the world. The reason is the real growth rate after taking into account first the factor of rate of inflation, depreciation of rupee, exchange value with the US dollar, and also the purchasing power parity. You all may be knowing, as a subject of monetary economics, you may be knowing what is purchasing power parity. And the rising population of the country, it is also one of the factors, because most of the country have a stable rate of population growth, but India is still on the increasing note. To sum up, there is all probability that India would become the third largest economy of the world, though this tag very much country would be getting by 2030 only. India will take the place after US, then China, after India will come. Now I will talk about challenges of Indian economy. What are the challenges before Indian economy? Challenges are immense, and to enhance country's capacity, it is very necessary to avert any kind of probable or possible natural calamity. Because India is such a vast country, full of variety of geography here, hilly area, plateau area, plain area, flooded area, drought area, coastal area, forest area, like that. Some are the fertile land, some are the barren land, some are non-cultivable land, some are Naxal affected area, like that. So we have to check all those factors, and just as we saw this year, we have a huge natural calamity in terms of flood, over rain, and we have a flood in Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, and in Himachal, and some other parts of the country also, even in Rajasthan, which used to be a permanent drought state. Now it is feeling the music of flood also. To control inflation within the optimum limit, say below 5%, though this is the area where the track record of the present government has been very fantastic. It's a praiseworthy, because right now the rate of retail inflation is less than 3%. It's a huge achievement, because country was always facing the high rate of inflation, 6%, 7%. There was a time when we have a 22% inflation also, especially the food inflation. So this is a good sign when we talk about macroeconomic indicator of the country, कि we have a very controlled rate of inflation. And next challenge is to find out all the bottleneck. Bottleneck is an economic term which is generally being used. The bottleneck is just like a bottle. If cork is trapped in the neck side and the liquid is not coming out, then it is called bottleneck. These are the hindrances and barricades which we face while developing our economy. So, or deficiency, leakages and loopholes in the system, cost and project overrun. You may be understanding cost and project overrun. Any project, you talk about this Nalanda University project. If it has an outlay of 1,000 rupee and it has to be prepared by year 2030, and if it is not being prepared by that year, stipulated year, and time just pushes, cost also pushes. So it is a general tendency in Indian economy. The most of the project have a cost and project overrun. But under this government, they have become very tight, and they are trying to fulfill all their project within time. As you saw, the Delhi Metro Rail Corporation is one of the big infrastructure of the country. Most of their projects were completed within time or even before time. So this is a fantastic sign, or it could become a role model also for the other infrastructure project. And then I have talked about allocated resources to repeal all types of malgovernance, corruption, litigation, and industrial unrest. This is a key area, this is a key subject. The good governance regime and the smooth governing regime is the foremost factor to my mind. To identify all the new areas of economy which I earlier mentioned, which possess an enormous potential to grow, say for example the information technology, now artificial intelligence is very much talked about, green hydrogen, it is very much talked about, all sorts of non-conventional energy. We are talking about drone technology, it has a very big market. And we are working on the domestic production of our defense arsenal and equipments. So these are things of new economy. You talk about social media, all kind of digital platform. These are the avenues of, you can say, the new economy. For that, to create infrastructure, provide incentive and leverages, talking about this, the present government has laid out a new infrastructure regime in the country by investing more in roadways, railways, waterways, and airways, ports, airport, and logistic hubs of the country. The next challenge is try to find out all the factors which have caused shrinkage in the growth potential pertaining to various areas of Indian economy, to correct it, to rectify it, to restructure it, and just laid out new development platform. It could be a remedy of that challenge. Agriculture, talking about agriculture, which is the most oldest sector of economy. As you know, there is a rural cliché that Uttam Kheti Madhyam Vard Adham Chakri Bhikh Nidan. It means the agriculture used to be the most pious profession. But that agriculture has become the less contributor in our GDP, whereas more than 50% population depend on this agriculture, but they are merely contributing 15% to GDP, even that is decreasing day by day. This sector requires a huge diversification. I am talking about the agriculture allied activity. This is a challenge. And first necessity to shift the working population depending upon agriculture to other areas. When if one agriculture family is there and there are 5, 6 or 7 members, every member has to opt a separate profession. Some have to opt industry, some have to opt job, some have to opt some other agriculture allied activity, so that they have a variety of profession in the family and they have a more avenues of income, and so that they can raise the income level and life standard level of the agriculture family or rural family. And I have keep saying about this, agriculture must employ only the 15% working population of the country, because it is contributing only 15% to the GDP of the country. So then we have a ideal equation, ideal balance in our economy. And then we have a more productive workforce also. In order to this, each farming family must have a variety of profession I have already talked about. Talking about industry, MSME, it's medium, small, micro, small, medium enterprise is still the backbone of our industrial sector. We have 6 crore MSME units in the country, contributing substantial to total industrial production, employment, export, and income. Make in India, though not able to bring that kind of manufacturing revolution in the country, but Make in India, for Make in India is the biggest task to make the country manufacturing capital. So, but I will give you one example that India has become the largest producer, second largest producer of smartphones and mobiles. And it has become largest exporter to United States of India, which used to be importing nation. Just it has happened in last 5 years. We have three big semiconductor plant in the country. We recently, Google has invested more than $15 billion in Visakhapatnam to establish their world largest artificial intelligence center after United States. So these are the point of optimism for Indian economy. Talking about the tertiary sector, means service sector, the largest GDP contributor, has a huge number of unorganized workforce. As you know, 80%, more than 80% workforce, our workforce is unorganized, unskilled and semi-skilled workforce. As we advocate one nation, one tax, same way we need one nation, one education, one nation, because I am talking about the make service sector more productive, more efficient, and more skilled. So for that regard, we need one nation, one education, one nation, one health structure, one nation, one labor policy, one nation, one employment policy, and one nation, one social security and pension policy. So talking about the sectoral imbalance, as I mentioned just now, that primary sector agriculture has a contribution of 14.4% in GDP, followed by agriculture 23.1. Earlier it was having contribution of 24%. It is marginally decreased to 23.1%, and service sector is going high and high. Earlier it used to have 55% contribution, now it has gone up to 62% in the GDP. It's a debatable issue among the economists. The country should have a predominance of service sector, or it should just churn out the industrial backbone of the country to become manufacturing capital of the world. And government is endeavoring very fast. Government has come up with PLI scheme, production linked incentive, and so many other incentive have been provided, which is attributed to such kind of smart mobile production in the country. Most of the economists, as I mentioned, despite India on highest growth part of the world, is a sectoral imbalance are very much there. Service sector having a huge contribution in the GDP, industry has less than quarter contribution, agriculture and such. Because just unlike China, we are more dependent on service sector, whereas China has become global factory house. Its contribution in world trade is more than 20%, whereas we have only around 2%. So these are the things which we have to work upon, but we can explore the other avenues also, other outlet of development and growth also. Energy sector key to progress. As I mentioned about this energy sector, all alternative source of energy like green hydrogen, solar power, hydel power, nuclear power, biofuels have to be enormously explored In this context, it is heartening that country is now generating non-conventional source of energy around 45% of the total energy production. I think it's a huge achievement, not only in terms of alternative source of energy, but also in terms of protecting our environment and checking the pollution, which is emanated from coal, which emanated from all kind of exploration, exploration and etc. To manage the new challenges of international economic diplomacy, it has become also one of the most crucial challenge for Indian economy, especially after the post-Trump tariff bomb. We are facing a huge task to make a deal with so many countries of the world. We are making FTA, free trade agreement, with some countries, and our FTA with Great Britain is also very noticeable. We are doing this FTA agreement, we are working with Germany, with European Union, with so many other countries. Talks are still going on with USA also. So one major trading partner, USA, imposed hefty tariff barrier and also levied hefty H-1B visa charge. This country's trade imbalance along with the BPO sector earning have come under peril. However, we are on the path of making FTA with many countries of the world. Among them, our FTA with UK is very noticeable, and European Union and like that. Import-led versus export-led growth. It is also one of the debate. Which one is better? Which one is preferable? Import-led economy or export-led economy? We have especially after new economic policy, for last 3 decades, our import have always surpassed our export, and we have a trade imbalance. But still, we have a very handsome quantum of foreign exchange. We have a $7 billion foreign exchange because the FDI, FII, FPI, all are coming in a great way in an Indian economy. But we import because we have to import technology, technical know-how, we have to import machinery, we have to import all those things which are related with our manufacturing sector and also related with our export sector. So import is necessary. So import is not a bad idea. If our economy is a growing one, so import is necessary. It is an essential factor. And the endeavor must be done to increase, to promote our export also. And our export has also gone up, but our import has also gone up. So volume of trade, it denotes the developing path of the economy. So it's nothing to worry about the higher import and trade imbalance. But nowadays, government is talking about repeatedly on self-dependence, Atmanirbharta. And Atmanirbharta is a good thing because the international political situation, it has so many ups and downs. And sometime any country takes decision which may go in favor of our country. Sometime it takes decision which may not go in favor of our country. So country and Prime Minister Modi has given a clarion call for making India Atmanirbhar, and India is doing so many things on that front. Somebody have also started our domestic digital platform also. And so many things are there. So we can do, and we can just take a decision. A nationalistic fervor can be generated on this topic so that we become Atmanirbhar or self-dependence, because you may be knowing India is one of the largest producer of drugs, especially the generic drugs. But raw material you have to import from China. So it means that you have to search out the alternative source of raw material. And India has also instituted a mission for critical minerals. Critical minerals has become a very hot topic in the world politics. US is trying hard and making agreement with so many countries to get critical mineral because that is required in so many critical areas of economy and strategic affairs. Now I will talk about the all inspirational achievement which held in past, and it's a created platform for a bigger development. First, I would like to mention about IT revolution, which started in 1980 decades. And it was started by late Rajiv Gandhi, followed by government like BJP, and thereafter government, they also provided so many leverages, incentive, and so many policy-driven support were given to this IT area, and India became the superpower of IT software. And the BPO industry, the remittances, in all front, we are the top in the world, number one in the world. Then it followed by mobile revolution, which took place, started in decade 1990 decades. And telecom revolution, one of the major historical development is post-independence period. Talking about the post-independence period, I would like to mention that 1991 was the demarcation year of the post-independence period. And I always mention that the period of pre-1991 and the post-1991. And talking about the post-1991 era, you will find so many events took place. IT revolution followed by mobile revolution, then we have a digital revolution, then we have a universal electrification. Now every household of the country gets electrified, every village of the country gets electrified, and we have a 24/7 electricity supply. All over the country, even states like Bihar have a 24/7 electricity supply. And then the UPI revolution, this is a post-2020 phenomena. After the demonetization, what India achieved, the foremost thing, that was the UPI, the use of UPI, and it is always noticed throughout the world that India has a UPI. It is one of the major assets, and India is trying to assist other countries also for having the digital monetary transaction, and that has expressed in terms of UPI revolution. And then is the highway expansion. Now we have an average per day, we have a more than 30-kilometer highways is being constructed, which is a record in itself. And very soon India will have a very largest chain and largest network of highways, along with railways also. In the last 10 years, government has invested more than 3 lakh crore in the railways, the laying out the new tracks, electrification, new construction of new stations, like that, introduction of new train, high-speed train, and of course the bullet train also, which is yet to start. Probably it will be started in next 6 months. Talking about the inspirational achievement in the recent period created platform for bigger development. India became the second largest manufacturer of mobile. India has become one of the largest manufacturer of defense equipment. We are producing more than 1.5 lakh crore of worth of defense equipment and exporting around more than 25,000 crore to other nations. The country has established 3 largest semiconductor manufacturing plants. Recently, Google World has invested $15 billion, as I always earlier talked about. One UAE finance company named NVD has acquired major stake in India, India-based RBL, it's a finance company, by investing $3 billion, being termed biggest FDI in India's banking sector, India's financial sector. IPO of Korean consumer electronics MNC LG IPO was subscribed by 52 times. It shows the optimism of India's investor class, India's middle class, and the people who invest in the capital market. You may be knowing the SIP, it's one of the tool of mutual fund. The investors, number of investor and subscriber has just reached about 3 times, and that is touching around perhaps 8 crore or 10 crore people. So it shows the growing, the middle class of the country, which used to be having number of around 10 crore during 1990, now it is touching around 40 to 45 crore, huge middle class, that is the consumer class also, and it is in the eyesight of all the world major nations. The above trend shows the optimism regarding Indian economy. The development shows the arrival of FDI, FII, foreign direct investment, foreign institutional investment, and FPI, foreign portfolio investment. And in a very substantial, almost all international rating agency, you talk about SP, you talk about so many Forbes, so many ranking agency, you maybe read in the newspaper, they all are rating Indian economy on a very high note. And even organization like IMF has also forecasted that India will have the highest growth rate in the world, and that will be touching around 7% in the current year. Structural traits of Indian economy and society both. The first and foremost is inequality. And I am not going to mention about what the Oxfam India report says. The 67% asset is concentrated into 1% people, and 1% people, 67% people have only 1% asset, and 1% people have around 70% asset. That is a different story, but the gap between have and have-nots is, is decreasing in very rapid manner. And I would like to mention that between 2013 to 2024, this is a Niti Aayog report, this is an independent report that says that India has uplifted the lives of 25 crore BPL family and they have converted into APL. So this is a big achievement. And out of this, the pace of lower income group is good, but not substantial. This is a matter of concern. And it is a minimal. Second, the income and life standard of middle income group is very good. And they are the unarguably largest consumer society of the world. And that of higher income group growth is extremely good in India because you may be knowing so many people, so many billionaires from India have taken the place in the different Forbes list and in a different rich list like that. Lower middle high income group, though the population of middle income group or middle class has risen from 10 crore in 1990s to 40 crore in year 2025, it constitutes around 30% of total India's population. And the population living in urban area, it's also increasing. And even the person living in rural area, their life standard has also gone up. Because you may have read one data that rural India has surpassed urban India in terms of volume of consumption. So I think this is a big achievement. And talking about the income of higher income group, we can say India has created a new atmosphere in the post-NEP era, new economic policy era, where many billionaires have evolved in the country and in the world fortune ranking, many billionaires from India has acquired their position. Fill up the gap between rich and poor. The foremost challenge is turning around 100 crore lower income citizen group into the middle income group in the next 20 years or so. And for that, our government is trying very hard. Our planners are doing very mind-boggling exercise. And we people are also doing good through this debate and the amalgamation of all the junior economists and all the economic students here. The probity and propriety in the system. This is one of the major challenges. Talking about corruption, siphoning of substantial volume of public money, and second, for achieving the interest of few people or group at the cost of huge populace of the country, crushing the interest and benefit of many. Though use of Aadhaar, mobile and DBT, direct benefit transfer, government is claiming around stopping the leakages of 1.30 lakh crore, which was going into the leakages. That money was being spoiled. But that has been now saved and protected. To create an ecosystem of fully policy-driven system, full use of technology is required, e-governance is required, and foolproof redressal mechanism of all public complaint is also required. Because we are democracy, we have a political regime also, so that is very much necessitated in our system. To protect environment and check pollution, most of the urban India is facing the air quality problem, cleanliness problem and waste management problem. Still it can be claimed that the whole rural areas have been not defecation free. And despite Clean India campaign, lots of work has to be still done. Needs for interdisciplinary reform. We talk about economic reform, we will elaborate this also. But before that, we also need some political reform, election reform, democratic reform, reform within the political parties, and nurturing of quality public leadership by them, and voters reform, that is called SIR, which has come in the news, which started from Bihar and now it is percolating to other states also. 13 states are exercising SIR initiative. That is a routine exercise. Earlier it was done in the year 2002-03 also, and now it has been taken again by Election Commission of India. Now I will talk about the agenda of economic reform. So I will say that to create a universal ecosystem of regulatory authority, because this is a key. And this is the experience in the post-new economic policy era, when private sector were being criticized by many ideologues and many political thinkers. But the time and again it was proved that private sector can be utilized for the making of nation, for the making our economy richer, and more value addition can be achieved, more employment can be generated. But we need competition between both public sector and private sector. And for that, we need regulatory authority, which can create level playing field for the both sector. Because if we don't provide level playing field, private sector will go for huge profit, huge margin, and public sector will go for non-work culture. So I always say that private sector must learn from the public sector to go for the social welfare, go for the labor welfare, and government sector must learn from the private sector how cost efficiency and cost consciousness can be injected into our system, how the workers' audit can be achieved, and more balance between cost and output, so that labor productivity can be maximally enhanced. And so that thing is can be provided through regulatory authority, through injecting competition, through utilizing market, and through laying out of the regulatory authority. Because we have a very huge role model in terms of TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, which brought telecom revolution in the country. But there are many sectors still where regulatory authority is needed, because those sectors have the presence of private sector in a huge manner. I will take the example of education. Even in rural area, even in the primary school, 40% students in rural area are going to private schools. So it means that private sector has a huge presence in the education sector. So we need regulatory authority. Then the same story repeats in health also. Education, health, agro input. जो तमाम fertilizers, equipment, machinery, seed, insecticide, we purchase from the government control agency. We need to use the market forces also under one regulatory authority, so that they cannot charge higher prices for the fertilizer, insecticide, and other agriculture inputs. And same way, agriculture produce procurement. Right now, we have only, you can say, the monopoly of FCI, who procure food grains at stipulated MSP prices, minimum support prices. But the private sector has not been allowed since MSP is not legalized. So we can make a regulatory authority for the procurement of agriculture produces, electricity production, transmission, distribution. We all needed regulatory authority, though regulatory authorities are there. We have a state electricity board regulatory authority, SERA called. Central electricity regulatory is also there. But their working must be more expanded, and that should be brought into the area of electricity distribution, transmission also. And then I would like to recommend regulatory authority for various sector of transport, like roadways, railways, waterways, airways. It's making of infrastructure and providing of services also. You can say all state transport boards, all states have their transport board, roadways, but private sector is also operating. But you need a regulatory authority to check them, to check both of them, and to create balance between both of them. Agenda of administrative reform. This is a very key area where we need that kind of reform for achieving the goal of Mission Developed India. Good governance, e-governance, corporate governance. Corporate governance is a very fine thing. When you read about corporate governance, there are 8 or 9 laws which controls the all functioning of corporate sector, so that they can become more transparent, more probity can be injected, and they can generate more wealth to the nation, also contribute more taxes to the kitty of government, and also generate employment. To establish a robust institutional mechanism, big initiative for multi-institutional reform like judicial and legal reform, because we have 4 crore litigations are still pending in the different courts. That is also necessary for the smoother development of our Indian economy. Big initiative for multi-institutional reform like judicial and legal reform, police reform, bureaucratic reform, NGO reform, media reform, as Professor Kishore was also talking about the waywardness of media. So that reform is required there also. States have to also join this party, because we are a federal country. We have 29 states and 8 union territory, and they are also contributing a lot. They are enjoying different power and different mandate given from Constitution of India. So they are very key to this growth potential of the country, and there must be need of a healthy competition among all the states, And we have a very developing states, particularly in the southern region of the country, in the western region of the country. The data will shows all the present status of a state's economy. Here in India, healthy competition is going on among the states to develop more. All southern and western states, as I told you, and even states like Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal, they have also joined the party, and they are doing very good. One question was asked about Bihar in the morning session. So one thing I would like to mention further, that Bihar has no any, you can say, industrial city, like what Noida, UP have Noida, what Haryana has Gurgaon, and what Mumbai has in terms of Navi Mumbai, what Chandigarh has, so many satellite cities are there. So Bihar has no any kind of satellite city, industrial satellite city where investors can be attracted in a large numbers. So Maharashtra is at the top with 42 lakh crore SDP, state domestic product, followed by Tamil Nadu, 32 lakh, then Karnataka, perhaps 27 lakh, Gujarat, 26 lakh, and UP, 25 lakhs. So this is the graphic which says the growth rate of all the states. And all states have different growth. I think the northern states, they have a higher growth because their economy is untapped. States like UP, Bihar, West Bengal, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, they are developing in a more in a more speedy manner. But their quantum is not very high. Their economy is very shrinkage. And I will mention about the states of Telangana and Andhra. They were bifurcated. They were partitioned in year 2011 or 12. But despite that, they still have a scale of economy which is bigger than all Bimaru states, barring UP. They have a more GDP scale than Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and of course, better than Bihar. And they both have a 15 lakh crore SDP. If they would have joined, they would have come on the number 3 position or number 2 position after Maharashtra. So it shows that their potential, their focus on IT and focus on other alternative source of development for which Chandrababu Naidu, the present Chief Minister of Andhra, is famous for. He was the most, in the post-new economic policy era, he is regarded as the most visionary politician who did so many things, converting Hyderabad into Cyberabad and like that. Then you can see this chart where it shows how much share all states have. I will say that you all people must go through this PPT chart also. Kishore Sahab would provide you. So then you can watch out all the figures and facts which have been mentioned in the PPT slide. So last one mantra I would like to mention that is given by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi to reform. And I always advocate reform. As a journalist, as an economist or whatever, I always believe in this reform, but last 30 years I have seen what reform has done in so many areas, which is not I am able to explain in such a shorter period of time. So we all need continuous and consistent reform, correction and rectification of the existing system and to address all interrelated and interdisciplinary factors. This would enable all sorts of multiplier effect. This is a term used in economics. And also backward and forward linkage effect in our economy, which would be instrumental to achieve a big stride for our Indian economy. So with this note, just I say Jai Hind, and I would like to invite, if we have some time, invite your questions. So your questions are welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please ask your questions. May I sit here?
Any questions?
Hello, Sheikh. Namaste, Professor. Thank you for this talk or lecture, whatever. Actually, I am having few questions. First, you mentioned that Oxfam report. in your view, what's the definition of development? What you think, what is the development, if you consider the Oxfam report as well? Second part is how India will become the third largest or the major economy in the globe if Indian economy will just invest 0.66% of its economy on the research and development. And the another and the third and the very crucial part is still India is under the hangover or impression of the socialism? Because as
Socialism,
yeah,
okay.
is India is under the impression or the hangover of the socialism? Because I'm going to give you the two examples. First, as you also mentioned, from the Andhra Pradesh. Very recently, the minister Nara Lokesh, who is the IT minister of Andhra, he is quite appreciated by across all the academia and in this business community, because that time Andhra government leased Tata Group for somewhere close to 99 paisa per acre to the Tata Group. In the same case, in the Bihar, Pirpati, nearby Kahalgaon, Pirpati is a place. Very recently, Bihar government put that land to this big firm of Indian big firm, Adani Group, at 1 rupees. Then this policy was completely not taken in a good way by the leadership or in the political domain. So what's your take on this socialism?
First, I would like to answer your last question. Ki are we under the hangover of socialism? I think that era is over now. And I have written so many articles, many books on all these things. I believe in one economic term that is called the maximum utilization of the available resources. I strongly believe in this. I don't want to put myself in the fight of the allocational fight, that this area must be given more, that area has been given less, like that. Even education lobby also pleads about more GDP contribution to education. I don't believe in this, because I know there are many situations and many universities which are vacant. No students are there. It means the investment amount has not been fully utilized. So we must be totally honest, impartial, and we should think about, for the sake of the larger population of the country, the largest interest of the country. And what you asked this question, crony capitalism, I also criticize crony capitalism, but you cannot criticize capitalism. That is also one of the factor of production. That is also one of the factor of economy. If you don't have entrepreneur, you cannot develop. Only labor cannot produce everything. Everyone is needed. Though fair treatment must be done with all factors. If crony capitalism has been done, so that should be checked, that should be investigated. Nothing wrong in that. But one thing I would like to mention that is also associated with economics, that that is called trickle-down theory. That is called trickle-down theory. So till 1990, we were under the hangover of socialism. But only dialogues were delivered. Only slogans were given. But we never watched the ground reality of the country. Whether poverty is being eradicated, where per capita income is getting increased, where corruption has been controlled. There was a bureaucratic Raj in the name of that so-called socialism and communism. I have no any second thought, or I have no any prejudiced thought about socialism and communism. I also came as under the hangover of socialism and communism, because as a young student of economics, I was also very much impressed by this. But ultimate, I need result for the poor people also. So what we saw, we have so many dialogues and deliberation about the poor people, about the agriculture people, but nothing was done, because the national wealth was not getting increased. Therefore, national kitty of governance, the treasury of the government was not being fulfilled, because we have non-substantial of tax collection, because growth was not going there. So when we adopted the trickle-down theory, that we found that it's the most practical theory, even for the upliftment of poor and the development of rural areas. I mentioned in the morning session that earlier we have a total paucity of investment in agriculture, in rural areas. There was no road, there was no law and order, police was coming to harass the poor and negligent people, and there was no investment, no road, no nothing. All civic amenities were totally absent in rural areas. But when new economic policy came, and on the 4 pillars of new economic policy, India started to attract investment from the foreign party, from the domestic party, we have a higher growth rate, despite all odds of socialism and communism and all the exploitation of capitalism, all the labor policy. I have advocated for one nation, one employment policy, one labor policy. Why? Because we want equal egalitarian society, and for that we need one nation, one policy regime, one ecosystem, and that will automatically bring communism and socialism in real terms without quoting them, without naming them. So we must utilize. That is why I advocate regulatory authority. It will check the vagaries of private sector that is dependent on high profit earning. You say the example telecom. Vodafone is a private company. It was the second largest player of the telecom, and that was running under loss, more than 50,000 crore. Government has come to rescue them. Why it happened? There was no government player to make competition with them. BSNL is spoiled because of non-work culture, which is generally prevalent in all government sector. MTNL, the same story was repeated. So these private players, if they are providing cheaper telecom rate, cheaper internet service to the people, and every people have their mobile handset in their hand, they have empowered, and it has become one of the 5 most necessary item of the person: roti, kapda, makan or mobile. So it has happened because of telecom policy, because of regulatory authority. So same story we need to repeat in other areas. Market is not bad thing. It was well proved. And through the trickle down theory, if laborers from Bihar, UP, Odisha, West Bengal, they are getting employment in the industrial city, in the metropolitan city, what is wrong in that? How? We must have a labor inspector there who should check all kind of exploitation in terms of their monthly wage, in terms of their accident security, in terms of their safety. So we all need regulator. And why US economy is so strong? They are based on the regulatory authorities. More than 50 regulators are working in US, and USA has also ideologue, left-oriented ideologue. They also work on that, but they have no any mediocrity in their system. They just pick the most meritorious thing in terms of their policy, in terms of their any implementation kind of initiative. But in India, several things come from the political circle, and we adopt those kind of things that is totally inefficient and also not in favor of the poor people. But now that story has started to change. It has started to change in Bihar also. People have become empowered, and you cannot make poor people richer overnight. It has a process. It will take time. So everything should be in order. That is the foremost objective we must adopt.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I am Ravi Ranjan, student here of MBA. Actually, I would like to thank you for a wonderful and insightful presentation on economic growth of a democracy like India.
Thank you. Thank you.
Multiple dimensions you have covered for the same, like political, technological, different sectors of the economy, like primary, secondary, and service sector as well. If we concern the term of socio-economic and socio-political things, ethics is everywhere.
Ethics.
Ethics is everywhere, sir. So, can you please make me clear on one thing? How might we focus on the media ethics influence and his influence perspective on corruptions and its implication of economic prosperity of the India?
You have asked my question on which I have my expertise and a long experience. You are talking about role of media and the problem of corruption and how media can become instrumental in repelling all sorts of corruption. It's a fantastic question, and I totally agree with you. But the problem is, as Professor Kishore was also mentioning the wayward behavior of media, actually we have to know about the psychology, sociology, economics, the legality, the constitutionality, everything of media. So first of all, you must know that media is the foremost required thing in a democracy. And all democracies of the world accept this slogan that is called freedom of media or freedom of press. Okay? And you also talked about 4 pillars of governance. Executive, first legislature, then executive, judiciary, and you also regard the media as the fourth pillar of democracy or fourth state of democracy. But when you go into the deep into the system and details of the constitution, media as a fourth pillar of any democratic government or system is not mentioned in the constitution. Be clear. Be clear, media is not constitutional entity. There is only one provision, one fundamental right mentioned in 14A or 14B, like that. Ki freedom of expression, every citizen will have freedom of expression, and it would be their fundamental right. So this is for all citizens. It is not for especially institution like media, as we have an institution like political party, we have an institution like judiciary, we have an institution like so many things. Since executive is the vast machinery, it has so many associated with so many institutions. But judiciary and legislature, these are the check and balance organ of any government. And they check each other. And this is the beauty of democracy. Here only 2-3 things are there. That is the regular election. Second is the check and balance. Third is the freedom of press. And at every 5-year election, multi-institution, multi-forum, judicial review. This is one of the major traits of a constitution. So since media has no constitutional entity, media was running under the great tradition of freedom movement era, when all freedom fighter was a media person and all media persons were freedom fighter. Because all big politicians, you name them, they have their own publication. Gandhi, Maulana Azad, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Gokhale, Tilak, they all were journalists. Rajaram Mohan Roy. And the great tradition helped our democracy to develop more. But in post-independence period, there was a degeneration in every area. Politicians became corrupt till the coming of 1960. Bureaucrats become corrupt till the coming of 1970. Till the coming of 1980, engineers, doctors, teachers. And media also started to become corrupt after 1990. And media is the thing which has to face the technological advancement at every 10 years. You legislature, judiciary and executive, they don't have to face any technological attack. But media has to face at every 10 years. So media is not mentioned in the constitution. There is no independent media policy. There is no any independent news media commission. Earlier we used to have press commission in 1960 and 70. But now media commission is not being instituted by any political party, any regime. When party becomes in opposition, they take support of media, and when they come in the power, they oppose media. So until and unless you provide some constitutional and legal entity to media, how can they become responsible, accountable to the system and committed to the democracy? But it was a strong tradition of media which enabled media to work in such a fantastic manner, and they evolve and they leak out so many corruption, so many odds prevailing in the society. They work against all kind of tyranny, all kind of odds, all kind of partiality, all kind of exploitation, all kind of injustice, all kind of crimes, corruption and all that. So corruption has been exposed by media because it enjoys the check and balance power, but we need to provide them some constitutional and legal entity so that if media leaves its path of wisdom, then it can be checked also through constitutional and legal manner. Because freedom of expression has provided some big capitalists to invest more in media and to create clout for their other businesses. And in that way media is being utilized so that media has no any direction. We have either दिन रात विरोध करने वाले मीडिया या दिन रात भोपू बजाने वाले मीडिया. पहले बिटवीन द लाइन का कॉन्सेप्ट था, पब्लिक ओपिनियन मेकिंग का कॉन्सेप्ट था, दैट हैज बीन फेड अवे. And a new culture, new trend and new tradition of media arise in which we either support or we either fully oppose without checking the merit of the decision and merit of the system. So this is the real thing. That is why I always advocate constitutional status of media. It will give them a tool, give them a kind of thing which in which with the help of which they can become a real check and balance organ of the of the democracy.
Thank you.
Yeah, ask your question. Yes, yes, ask.
Okay, thank you very much. That's been an enlightening session. You noted the minimal contribution of the agricultural sector to GDP, and then you equally also acknowledged the IT revolution the economy has in recent times experienced. What makes this minimal contribution of agricultural sector to GDP a concerning matter, especially in a case where it does not necessarily reflect a low agricultural output, but then just a structural shift to the service and the industry sector? What makes it a matter of concern to the Indian economy?
Thank you very much. First, I would like to answer your last question, that is to making agriculture more productive. So I am advocating diversification of agriculture. The population dependent on agriculture must be shifted to other areas, other lucrative areas, because agriculture always have a high capital output ratio. Agriculture has less productivity. Despite so many leverage and subsidy, in US only 2% people make cultivation under the pressure of government, because agriculture have no enormous profitability like mines, mining and other areas, other new technological areas. So we must to identify which area we have to grow more, and which area you have to shift our population for their livelihood first. And second, you asked for minimizing corruption. So I think the technology is the biggest antidote to any sort of corruption. To employ maximum as much as possible technology in different areas of governance. Technology has played a big role. Earlier I was mentioning in the morning session how the metro train has checked corruption. There is zero corruption there because of technology. No, without ticket people can enter into the train, and no corrupt TT is there to harass people, which is not available in other railway services. But metro has enabled this. And second is the shifting of policy, time to time overhauling of policy. Privatization has also played a big role, because under the ambit of regulatory authority. That is why I am advocating regulatory authority. Without regulatory authority, privatization will be not good. They will bank upon generating higher profit and keeping their margin high. Because you take the example of India in agriculture insurance scheme. All the private insurance players have a lesser claim ratio than what the amount they get from their premium. So that is not good, particularly for the sector like agriculture. It's not a thing of making or generating profit. So same way, the seasonal profession agriculture, off-season period, generally agriculture merchants, they earn huge profit, but during the season period, farmers have to bear huge loss because there is an oversupply condition. So these things we have to study, and accordingly we should make policy. And you asked one question regarding R&D, na? 0.3%. 0.6%. So in India, generally middle class people advocate for so many things where they want more allocation. We are a poor country. We are a resource constant company. Definitely that should be raised. Proportionally, we may have a lesser allocation for the R&D, and we need more investment for R&D. But before that, I will always say maximum utilization of the available resources for a country like India. Because as a student of economics, you should always adopt less cost and more output slogan and mantra. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Kishore, for inviting me and organizing all these events. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before that, actually, few things I just want to mention. That Shala was mentioning that about the 1 rupee of the land. No, it is a 1 rupee of the land. I mean, think about like, if some company or some fund, like, a corporate company wants to start a IT, they want to enter into the IT, where they will go? They will go where the resources are there. So for their first priority is like in Bangalore, and second priority is Chennai, or maybe so. So if there's somebody wants to like start up something like a company which is like more into the movie industry or anything, people go to the Bombay. They don't want to come to Bihar, or they want to go to like any other. So here is like one thing we should understand, that like anybody why they come. So we have to give an incentive. So what actually happened with Cyberabad, if you're talking about like Cyberabad and that, so that's the time that naturally people, they move to the Bangalore because of the clusters, like, and that's easy to move from one, the labor, not labor, but the skilled labor, I call it, in that like IT professionals, and then moving to the, within the companies over there. And so like it's kind of spread in within the Bangalore and Chennai. So then when they started, at that time also Chandrababu Naidu was there, so they started inviting people. Why they will come? So they will, you have to give an incentive. One incentive, so for any industry, they need infrastructure. They need incentives, and then such kind of incentives is the land. So you need to provide a land to come. So why like Nalanda University has also got a free of land as that. So if there is no land is here, like, where will you go? And then like, there is no. So this is where that like, this 1 rupee is a symbolic kind of a thing. It's not that like you are giving for free, it's a symbol. So it also helps to get more companies. So starting companies, so now, in Bangalore, the Karnataka government don't give any free land now. Anyone comes and then they have to go, like buy and then do things and that. But maybe in the initial days, like, that was just given to the, kind of to promote the industry that is required. So that's what actually, there's nothing wrong in my view, it's nothing wrong, because to start an incentive to provide, to bring someone to them. The next one is like, we're talking about the public, private, like, private, privatization and that. Partnerships, like, so the mindset has to change. It's now like, the government companies are not bad, but the only thing is like our mindset. Like, if you look at that, like, today morning we were discussing about that, like, the Singapore Airlines. The Singapore Airlines is like, public-owned airlines. It is the #1 airlines in the world. So it is like, the kind of like, the attitude, the kind of like, looking at that, like, so if once we are in the public sector and then say that like, yeah, I can do whatever you want. I mean, I still remember that like, to get a telephone connection, so they offered a Dashara, the gift. So we can pay 1,000 rupees and then we will get a telephone connection. So there was when I went there to submit my application, it was already like a 1 kilometer of queue. So it was like, that was the BSNL thing. Like, you need to create a competition. Then when they create a competition, the private sector has come. And then if the BSNL did not perform well, and then they also slowly move out. It's not, I mean, like, we can't blame for the government, but it's also blame of the company, how they do it. So I feel this is also, and the next one is we are talking about the, IT sector is the same thing. Like, so you are talking about the Chandrababu Naidu or location that. So they are trying, because now it's a new state, and then they need to bring more, more industry. So that industry is for that, like, they have to come up with the new policies and that to attract more people. Like, so that's how that, like, Google has come now. I don't know how much the Google generates the employment, which I don't know, because this is more into the data center. But at least, like, one company as a big company has come now, so the other companies also come follow on that. Okay, anyways, like, so then the last one is, like, want to say, sir, thank you, like, so, sir, please. So, in journalism is, domain specialist is required. And today I was watching one news, and the guy was talking about the landfall at the cyclone. It just happened in the Akana. And that guy was like loosely talking and saying that, like, why we don't have a technology to take the cyclone from this end to the another end. said, come on, first you should know what is that, like, how you, so that's where the domain knowledge is very important, sir, like, so people like you and then who has the expertise in that area, and they should, like, work, publish or report, and so that, like, the normal public also will get, because the media is one medium, so that's like, the policies should, like, reach it to the public, domain experts like you is important and required in that. Yeah, thank you. And thank you for your, like, your lecture. And you also emphasized that the need for the comprehensive reforms and the role of the governance and then innovation and regulatory mechanisms for the sectors like health, education, and that cooperation in realizing the nation vision for 2047, so which is a Viksit Bharat which we are cooking. So thank you for your time, for effort, and your contribution to our academic discourse. I'm sure, like, my students, like, enjoyed. A big round of applause. Thank you. Yeah, we'll have.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we can have a picture, and after that, like, we have tea, biscuits, and that, like, there. So we'll come for a biscuit, like,